for those who get political duties, well, this is one of those days you will say this is 100% delivery. It was 100% victory for the All Progressives Congress APC today. All its candidates for the presiding officer's roles emerged victorious. Senator Akpabio today met with President Bola Tinubu at the presidential villa hours after his emergence as the Senate President for the 10th National Assembly. In the Red Chamber, Senator Akpabio defeated Senator Abdulaziz Yari to emerge the new Senate President, and the former Akpabio governor was returned elected as the President of the 10th Senate after scoring 63 votes to defeat Senator Yari, who polled 46 votes. Senator Akpabio was accompanied by Governors Imo, Opus Odema, and that of Lagos, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, Governor of Kogi State, Yaya Bello, as well as former Kano State Governor Abdullahi Ganduje. President Tinubu and leaders of the APC had backed Akpabio despite criticisms and oppositions from some members of the ruling party. Senator Jibrin Barau from Kano State, representing Kano North Senatorial District, emerged unopposed as the Senate Deputy President. He will be taking over from Senator Ovie Omoagege. In the House, member representing Zaria Federal Constituency in Kaduna State, Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, who was elected Speaker of the House just as a member representing Bende Federal Constituency in Abia State, Benjamin Okeze Kalu, emerged the Deputy Speaker of the House for the 10th National Assembly. All the four principal offices of the 10th National Assembly were endorsed by Senator Tinubu and the APC. So you can see Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, or Abbas Tajuddin, as the case may be, because a lot of people are wondering what exactly is his surname. Is he Abbas or Tajuddin? But we understand that Tajuddin is his surname. Tajuddin Abbas, 352 votes. Honorable Idris Wase, a former Deputy Speaker from Plateau State, 3 votes. And Honorable Sada Soli, 3 votes. That's how it went down in the House of Representatives. But all of these did not go down without some criticism, and those who believe that, well, justice may not have been served. But the APC, knowing full well, led by Bola Tinubu, now know that they have 100%. But the president had said, look, this victory that they've had, they cannot take it for granted, and first, they're not resting on their oars and just focusing on the goal. Let's speak with the man who led the campaign for Senator Akpabio, Senator Ali Ndume, who told us on this program that Senator Bola Tinubu, the president, is 100% backing Senator Akpabio, even when it does look like things might boomerang and it may not go the way of the APC. Senator Ali Ndume, maybe congratulations might be in order, isn't it?
Yeah, thank you very much.
You guys did not sleep.
Yeah.
You were working overnight. Because what we understand is that Senator Yari, up until early, the wee hours of today, was coasting to victory. But you guys performed some magic. What was it?
It was not magic. It was politics, more of politics, But alhamdulillah, it turned out the way we wanted. And I think it's good for our democracy. It's good for the country. And now we feel that this singular act of today will give all Nigerians sense of belonging. God has a way of doing his things, The way this politics that played out, if people sit down to do critical analysis of it, goes out to show that some of the considerations that people out there talk so much about do not really matter. For example, I'm a Muslim. I was the one that nominated, campaigned vigorously for the emergence of Senator Godswill Akpabio. And he was seconded by a Christian. And then on the other side, Senator Ishaku Cliff, nominated, was the leading campaign member of Yari. And he's a Christian from the north, from Adamawa State. And he was seconded by Jimo Ibrahim from, interestingly, is Ondo State, I think. So you can see that religion that people hype on is not the real thing that people put into consideration, but interest. And also, interestingly, we have 54 members of the Christian faith among us out of the 109. We, the Muslims, have 55. You can see how God does it. Many people don't even think about that. And the votes turn out to be 63 against 46. You cannot place who voted who and how.
So what happened? How did you guys do it? Tell me about it. Maybe we can learn some of the politicking that goes on. How did you guys swing it? Because up until very late, because I was still up at night trying to find out what is going on in each of the camps, and there were assurances. And in fact, those in your camp were afraid that things might go in the way of Senator Yari.
I don't think so. As you rightly said, myself, Umahi, and we have 3 co-chairmen, Oshomole and the governor of Niger were the co-chairmen, and I was the DG. And also, interestingly, as at this morning, early this morning, or when we close our meeting in the morning today, we did a real analysis. And we came up with 62. And we got 63.
Who is the 63rd person?
I don't know.
You didn't factor in?
No, we analyzed.
You thought that you were going to get 62 votes?
Yes.
But you won.
No, the votes that we are sure of was
62.
Because we had 70, as at the last count, we had a dinner sometimes, it was, where we had people that signed on to us again. We had a number went up from 72 to 76. But when we sat down to do a critical analysis, we said, look, let's not deceive ourselves. Look at you, at this, at this. We came up with 62.
So the president on his own side had instructed the governor of Imo State to also lead the execution committee from the APC side of things. So does that really add up, or does that really help in any way?
Yeah, it
from
helped.
The outside?
Yeah, so many factors helped on the outside. And it's usual. When I contested last time, everybody was on the other side in the government, because the president or the government or the party then endorsed Amelawa. It's almost a repetition of the same thing. The party and the president had a preferred candidate, but this president, because he's experienced politician, played a lot of politics in it, so he deployed his foot soldiers to complement our effort, and that made a difference. The vice president was on it. He himself was calling some people. And this afternoon when we visited...
The President Tinubu called people by himself?
He went to some people even. It's politics.
He went to visit senators?
He sneaked out and visited some people, begged them to support, and he has his reasons. As I said, I was convinced. His reasons are convincing. Up initial. Get somebody from South out to be the Senate president, or get somebody, because the South didn't have it since 1999. Now we have changed or made history by having somebody from South. And as you can see from day one, I don't know whether you listened to or you watched the acceptance speech or
I was monitoring how to.
Okay, you see that Akpabio has what it takes to deliver. And we are there too to give him the support. The president is an experienced politician. He is a senator. I said it's his vice president is a senator. Everybody is virtually the chief of staff, SGF. All these people are from the legislative. They have legislative experience, and that means they are connected to the grassroots. And I think actually the renewed hope that is the mantra of Mr. President is manifesting already.
Let me allow our viewers to listen to part of what Senator Akpabio. He looked a bit relaxed.
Yeah.
Maybe he wasn't looking too official like the way a lot of people may have. He looked a bit relaxed. very unofficial, was even cracking jokes about his wife and how beautiful she is and how supportive she is. In fact, that even his daughter was also in the chambers at that time, and if there was any senator who was younger, was lucky to be able to cite the daughter. I mean, that was on a lighter note at that moment, just to let you know that I monitored throughout. But take a listen to a portion of what Senator Godswill Akpabio, who is now the Senate President, what he said in his inaugural speech.
Let me thank the President for the choice of Senator Godswill Akpabio and Senator Jibril Barrow, and also thank the party, the All Progressive Congress, for the zoning system that brought all of us, and especially thank my colleagues, my brothers, and my sisters in the 10th Assembly, the 10th Senate, for voting for us across party lines. This is the way we shall continue to be together. Whatever will happen here, we will think Nigeria, and will dwell on Nigeria, and will make a very big difference. I assure you that my reputation precedes me. My track record is there for all to see. We will bring about uncommon changes in the 10th Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
That is a portion of his speech. He said uncommon change, that is what it would bring, and his track record. Perhaps he's talking about what he did in Akpabio State.
Yeah.
And that brings me to what the senators on this 10th National Assembly will be bringing on board. There's a bit of distrust, a public distrust in public institutions these days. Those who believe that those who are in government are just there for selfish reasons. How can Nigerians be certain, sure that you guys have the interests of Nigerians at heart?
When they start seeing the results of the actions. And that is what we're bent on doing, because the Senate particularly is an institution full of expectations. It's supposed to be, the Senate historically was formed to stabilize the system, to provide leadership in the country. And that has gone down continuously. And now we are at a level where we have to do something in order to regain the confidence of Nigerians that we lost. The extent that the Senate as an institution, or us, some of us as individuals who are called names, overstand extension of the legislature, the executive and all that. And that has to change, because the president, as I said, was a legislator, and he knows what are the constitutional rules of the legislative arm of government. And for him to succeed, he will actually need to encourage, and he has started already, the institution to play its constitutional role. That is of effective oversight and making good laws for good governance, and also supporting policies of government that require the support of the legislative arm of government.
What is the focus of this 10th Senate? What are you hoping that will give assurances? Because there's no matter what you say, your action needs to speak louder than your voices these days to be able to impress Nigerians. Nigerians believe that you guys just get a lot of money, get luxury vehicles, and drive around Abuja doing little less to what you are being paid compared to your colleagues and peers in some part of the world, and they do not even see the reason why we should have two chambers of the National Assembly based on the poverty level in the land.
Well, you're making allegations, and some of those things that you have said is true. If you look at it vis-a-vis the situation in the country, and also the workload, I am one of the advocates that, look, under this circumstance, maybe you should even consider looking at the cost of governance from the legislative arm of government. But if you critically analyze it also, you will see that, for example, we have I think 21 trillion budget this year, out of which what goes to legislature is less than 1% or so. But, at most, what? 100, it used to be 100 billion for the legislature. That is aside the, capital interventions in the budget. But what actually goes on into the legislative arm of government as recurrent expenditure is negligible compared to what is being spent.
But the bottom line, Senator, is what would you be doing? What is it?
We are now saying we have a 10-point agenda that we read out as to what we want to do. Look at the laws that creates bottleneck in progress, like our tax laws. We need to review that. We need to review how we take loans, what we do with the loans, and how we pay the loans. With what benefit will it be? We need to use, the abandoned resource persons that will help to bring the institution. What I mean by that is, for example, 76 or more number of senators are not returning. They are going with the experience that they acquired for 4 years. Because there is no handover notes to the incoming, we need to have them close into the system so that they will help the system grow. We also plan to make the legislature or the legislative arm of government, especially the Senate, an institution where we rub ideas, discuss issues extensively before coming up with a decision as to maybe support the government or approve, because I like the loans. In those days, whenever they bring loans, you just sign on to it, not knowing the implications, not analyzing it critically, not throwing it open to the public to have their input.
But this Senate will be more rigid
about
approving.
I don't want you to use that word, rigid.
Okay, so the reason is there are a lot of allegations on the issues of the Ways and Means, which the senators have been criticized about. That how come you've approved such an enormous amount? Was there any kind of due diligence that was done?
None.
With the benefit of hindsight? There are a lot of Nigerians who feel very sad about how the Ways and Means process and approvals came from the Senate, and maybe in the manner in which it was approved.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was vehemently against the way. First of all, I feel that we don't have the right to do what we did, because
that was illegal. Is that what you're saying? When you say you don't have the rights?
Well, I don't know, especially if I'm involved, I don't know whether I want to say I did something illegal. You understand? But the National Assembly is supposed to approve, not to rectify. What we did in the case of the 23.7 trillion Ways and Means from the CBN was to rectify. I don't think there is anything in the Constitution that allows us.
Do you regret that kind of situation? Looking back at what happened?
For me personally, for the institution or our system, I feel very bad. But for me personally, God knows, I tried my best. I raised the issue in November when it came up, and then we set up an ad hoc committee. And let me even tell you that for that day when they approved that load, we were kind of ambushed, some of us that are very critical. You know, the presiding officers have a smart way of doing things. Well, if they look around, is Ndume around, or whoever is going to be critical. If they are not around, you bring supplementary order paper, and it goes out like that.
So that's how it's been. There are a lot of things that a lot of Nigerians are now looking at. How come these very controversial things that are happening? Right. On the day of your, the valedictory, there are about 2 or 3 statements that were made that got people thinking. You mentioned another one now, Senator Bukachua, making reference to how he prevailed on his wife to help some of you, your colleagues in the National Assembly. In fact, Senator Rochas Okorocha was also questioning the emergence of Senator Ahmed Lawan back into the Senate, and how judiciary, the role it played in politics and some of these issues. It bothers a lot of people. Doesn't it bother you too?
It does. But, people are caught in between what is right or moral and what is social. My wife is a high court judge, my first wife. And when people know that your wife is a judge, especially your friends, they put pressure on you. We're all humans. Depends on how strong you are to stand against this kind of a thing. And sometimes, especially when the system itself is more or less compromised or can be compromised, then you'll be tempted. But I like his courage for confessing publicly, even when he could have decided to say no. I think it will help the system, people, to look inward, look at yourself and say, well, and you believe that what you did was wrong. The best thing is to come out to say, I did this, and I'm sorry for that. And maybe that will help others that will be tempted to do the same.
Senator, what assurance can you give to Nigerians tonight that is sure of what to come from your Senate, this 10th Senate? Because you carried the burden, and people will remember that you are one of those who preached Gozawa Akpabio and Barao Jibrin. So we hold you accountable if there is any kind of failure.
No, I don't think that is right.
Well, you propagated them. You said
but now
they are the best.
Yeah, I'm not the Akpabio. Even before God, Akpabio will account for his own. Me, I can.
But you should be able to carry some liability if you are the one.
No, I don't have this liability. I'm not.
But you are the one who said it was the best.
I'm not. Yeah, I said he's the best. But if it turns out not being the worst, I'm not going to be.
So we should not hold you accountable.
How can you hold me accountable? I didn't force anybody to vote.
But you must have gotten some assurance that he's the best. That's why you said he was the best.
I believe he is the best. But I don't know what he will do tomorrow. I can't say that. I'm expecting that from what I have seen. I've known Akpabio for 4 years. He was a minority leader while I was a majority leader. And I know he's somebody that is intelligent, he's passionate about some issues, and he's detribalized. He is a qualified lawyer. He was a minister. He was a commissioner. He has all it takes to do what Nigerians expect.
The likes of those who are very aggrieved, the likes of Senator Shehu Sani, pictures emerged of how he met Senator Kashim Shettima, the vice president, and the president himself, President Bola Tinubu. And those who believe that when he stepped down, he was one of those who believe that the North Central were being marginalized in the scheme of the arrangement for the National Assembly presiding officers. Did he and some of his likes play any role in today's victory of your party?
Yeah. Well, I was with him. We were very close. We were together up to this morning. We tried to convince him. And finally, after President met him and spoke to him. He's one of those that President contacted personally. And he had reason to be aggrieved. Actually, the balancing was not really tailored out well because the North Central, as you said, don't have any of the presiding officers. And but I said last time here that the president is conscious of this, and I guess that was one of the reasons why he went for the Akpabio. And I think that is not the end. The government is a big institution. There are so many things. Like
so
now,
consideration, right?
If you look at it, the appointment of SGF, to me, is more important than the Deputy Senate President.
Senator, let's anchor on this note. There are some unusual things that happen today.
What?
Usually, by tradition, the election happens first in the Senate, the proclamation read on the floor of the Senate, election will happen, inauguration will happen in the Senate, then the clerk and the deputy clerk and his team will move to the lower chamber to read the proclamation letter and inaugurate the lower chamber. But we understand that it was a strategy of your team to ensure that this happened simultaneously.
No, it wasn't.
And it happened earlier than 10 o'clock, the usual traditional time.
No, I remember that I remember that after our election was conducted, the clerk told us that he's moving to the House of Representatives.
But the proceedings were simultaneous.
No.
It was simultaneous. We watched, we covered it, we put it on TV.
Who presided over
The deputy clerk.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So it was simultaneous. We thought that it was a strategy from your team.
From our team? I'm not aware of that. And you know.
So usually, but you know it's usually around 9, 10 o'clock when it starts.
Well,
you've been one of the longest serving lawmakers, so you should remember. As some of us who have monitored this for several years,
wait, let me tell you, does that matter anyway? For the first time...
For a politician, does it not matter?
Wait now. For the first time in the time I remember, 109 of us were there. And that's the total number of senators. 109. Everybody voted. There was no... besides small this thing that happened initially, and as you can see, it was more or less of displaying your interest, pushing your interest. But we were 109 there.
Senator Ndume, it's good to see you again. Thank you so much, and congratulations again.
Thank you.
Because I know it's not so easy when you carry on this kind of project.
Honestly, I slept like a baby. You can see I'm still very...
But you still have a lot of sleepless nights because Nigerians, some of us will be watching and we keep our eyes on you guys.
Why?
And to ensure that you deliver to Nigerians what you have promised.
No, I have my own responsibility on that. You hold I'm not your senator. What's my business with you?
But you're a senator of the Federal Republic.
Yes, but I'm not your senator. I'm not representing.
Senator Ndume, thank you so much indeed for coming tonight. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.